Welcome to Shop Talks presentation. Sorry, you have to hear it 5 million times. Shop Talks, a presentation of Impressions Magazine, and I'm from the Ink Kitchen, which is a free online source of information. Got other sponsors here, Alpha Broder, Los Angeles Apparel, Hirsch, Nasdar, Omniprint, and Lane 7. And I am really happy to have with me today Dr. Shanon Wooden from Innate Lab, and she is going to talk about some Photoshop hack and information, and we're really lucky to have her here. And take it away, Shanon.
Hey, loves. Hey. Just to get started, I want to kind of understand where you are with Photoshop. How many people use Photoshop in any capacity? Yeah? How many have never used Photoshop before? No, okay, newbies. I love newbies. Okay, what about designing in Photoshop? Do you design in Photoshop, or do you just kind of like print and do production from Photoshop? Who designs in Photoshop? Awesome, awesome. And how many of you do not design in Photoshop? You just might print and, move a couple things around. Awesome. Okay, so this is a good mix. And as much as I want to show you what I do, I would also love to learn what it is, where the gaps are, where things are that you struggle with, so that we can figure out solutions for those. And that Innate Lab, contrary to what it might sound like, it's not a blood lab or anything like that. It's a creative lab, so that we can make whatever's in our mind come to reality, right? And part of what we do that with is, a big part of what we do that with is Photoshop. So I'm going to go through a little bit here and show you how we've been helping people with Photoshop, sublimation primarily, and some of the things that we get into at Innate Lab. Is that all right? Okay, I need to hear something. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Woo! All right, let's go. We can go ahead and start the presentation here. Can y'all hear me okay? All right. So this is me at a photo shoot that I did at Impressions Expo a couple weeks ago. Lovely company that did free headshots. What we do at Innate Lab is we develop these templates, right? And these templates are Photoshop templates, but we're bringing it into reality by showing people who've never used Photoshop before how to create these dynamic designs and have really impressionable artwork, right? So these are all templates, and we're showing you how you go from a simple template, clicking on a few things. We call them smart templates, and now we even have genius templates, right? So the templates, you click on, change out the photo, you change up the colors. I like to believe we invented smart colors, but if you know anything about Photoshop, you know they have these smart objects that sound intimidating, but they're really, really simple. So you click on the smart colors, you click on the smart objects, you change a few things out, and the goal is to get you confident in your work, right? Because if you're confident, you can conquer anything. So you can come to your customers with images that are just ready to go, dynamic, and maybe you only know a little bit about Photoshop. They don't know that, but through the Academy, you learn these advanced techniques. You learn about color replacement. You learn about things like opacity and how you cut out an image and how you fade off an image, because I cannot stand an image with a hard line on there. So we do all of those things in the Academy. And this is just a way of increasing your confidence out the gate, right? Because if you could design, if I could lose 20 pounds a day, like out the gate, you don't think I would be on that program? So this is the program that's gonna kind of get you into Photoshop, get you loving Photoshop and unafraid of Photoshop, right? So these are actually all of my students posting. I was like, well, I need to put together a presentation. I was like, duh. Let me just screenshot some of the testimonials from this. These are people posting in our Facebook group. And they're saying, oh my gosh, I had a blast. I never used Photoshop before. I didn't know we could make it so easy. Thanks, Doc. And by the way, I have a PhD in industrial engineering from UCF, and I make t-shirts. So just to let you know how life, if you want to tell God your plans and make them laugh, tell them your plans, that thing. So I end up teaching anyhow, but I ended up developing my own academy because I want to teach not only what I want to teach, I want to teach what's going to help our communities grow. And one of those things is bringing back art to the communities, bringing back the local print shop to the communities, and taking the local print shop online where maybe the local print shop's been scared to go online. So we're bridging all of those gaps with artwork. These are actual press jobs, like things that have been done by the clients of the Innate Academy, and I like to call them members because it's a membership. But this is some of their work that they're actually putting out there, never having touched Photoshop before. And this is just me kind of showing you a little bit of, steps. We do some printing. That's True Colors ink there. That's another one of my brands. These are some insert jigs that I created so that people can do all overs with a small printer and a small press. So we have some insert jigs, and then I have what I call a buddy system I developed because so many people wanted to do all over shirts. They're like, look, Shannon, I have a small press, a small printer. What can I do? So we created this little buddy system here. This is a big press, but it also works on a 16 by 20 press. So that's why I say I love to talk to people. I love to be on the ground working because you all tell me, I have a large format press. I don't worry about pressing, small squares anymore. But when I found out so many people needed help and wanted to do that, then I can marry what I know with where the gap is and what people need. So those are some of the things there that I do. I do it for free on YouTube. I also have an academy where I teach, where it's a paid academy. This is one of my coaches actually only has a 16 by 20 press, and that's all. She doesn't even have a large format printer. She just has a 13-inch printer, Epson printer, and she is able to do all overs. That's her work. So we also incorporated bling. We're doing something new, like every month. We incorporated bling. I'm working on an atomizer. So I have 2 atomizers. One atomizer is for cut and sew, which takes your designs and already puts them into patterns, so you don't have to worry about doing it for small, medium, large, etc. So that's one for leggings. And then the other atomizer, you saw several versions of that, it's mock-ups. How many of you have had to mock up your own design? And it's like, again, each customer, each design, and then each product that you want to mock up, right? So what I have an atomizer that just focuses on taking your basic images that you created from your template, your foreground and your background, right? And then it will mock up any product. It'll mock up a mug, it'll mock up a t-shirt and that sort of thing. And that came from people telling me how aggravated they were with mocking up their products. So here, we're all about innovation. This is some cut and sew that we're doing with that same atomizer template that I showed you. These are some pillows that are in the shape of jerseys. So the idea is just showing you we're into innovation, we're into anything that you're into, but don't know how to get there yet. And we're helping, we're co-creating these solutions to what the common person needs to grow their business, to stand out, and to really be noticed when it's hard to be noticed right now. You have to kind of stand out, right? This is one of our workshops that we do. I do them online all the time, but every now and then we do a physical workshop, and we will actually bring out items, and the folks in the class, sorry, this was one of the TikTok videos, so it does all of that extra stuff, but we actually bring out things and people will press an all over shirt with these small prints. They'll learn how to tile the prints. They'll learn how to do the all over pressing with the buddy system and the small press. We also teach them Photoshop at the workshop, and they'll do all that stuff hands-on, because I learned some people are not online learners, they're hands-on learners. So with all of that said, these are some of the things that we offer at the lab. I felt like I wanted to give you that introduction so that your Q&A could help me understand what it is that you want to learn and do. If you just felt like, wait a minute, what's sublimation? If you have those questions, I'm open to any of those questions, okay? And I think I talked fast enough to let it go.
What's sublimation?
Sublimation is a printing process, and as you can see, this bag, everything I'm wearing right now, all of that is done with sublimation. Typically, you're going to need a polyester substrate and white, preferably, of course. And like this t-shirt, this jacket, that scarf, and the bags are all started as white polyester, but you have hard substrates you can do that are coated with the polyester coating too. So we do license plates and mugs, and it's popular to do tumblers right now, right? So those things, that's why I focus the design on sublimation, because you're not limited in color or the design process. The only limitation is literally your mind and a white substrate that comes in polyester, right? So that's what I focus on, but we also get into DTF, we get into sublimation and cut and sew, and some other more advanced areas. But for me, sublimation is key to get you into designing, because screen printing usually is going to require, special equipment, special setup, or you're going to outsource those screen prints. Sublimation is something you can do in-house. You can do it if you're, working from home, mom and pop, small-time store, or if you have a large-scale commercial enterprise. Sublimation works in all of those categories.
Wow.
Oh, and what sublimation is, it's a dye process. It's a special ink that is used in conjunction with a special paper that allows it to release. At about 400 degrees is where most people sublimate, and it transfers, the ink was once a liquid, turns into a solid on the paper as it dries, right? And then something magic happens. When that heat hits it, it turns into a gas. And that gas permeates the polyester substrate, and it creates a permanent bond. So it will never crack, peel, or fade. You can't scratch it off. You can't stretch it away. It is permanently bonded to whatever that substrate is.
So it's not on top, it's in there?
Yes, it's embedded into the fibers. And I invite you all, whenever we're done, you come up and touch it and feel it. Like I tell people, you gotta feel sublimation. Because in order to get people to get into white shirts sometimes, because if you're just doing 13 by 19s, people are intimidated by telling people that, hey, I can only do white shirts. But I got an entire community when I had my local brick and mortar to not only like sublimation, but request it by name once they found out what it was and how I had established it. And they were okay with it being white shirts because the designs were so nice. They weren't limited in color. I couldn't say, oh, I can only do 2 to 3 colors vinyl. They were like, oh, I could do unlimited colors. I could put photos. I won't feel it on the shirt. It won't be scratchy. It won't be thick. Like, it is literally a part of the fibers. And you sell it on that. You say, hey, this will never crack, peel, or fade. This will last a lifetime. The print will last longer than the actual shirt will. So when people want things that, for momentous occasions, whether it be remembrance or kids, basketball, football game, anything like that, they're looking to have these things last a lifetime. So I think that this is the type of product that if you're not into yet, sublimation is making this big wave back. Because I remember back in the day, nobody knew what sublimation was. And I'm 38, by the way, so if I talk like I'm old, I've been that way since a kid. I'll be like, yeah, back in my day, and I'm only 8. So forgive me if I speak the extra years on myself. But back in that day, no one was really into sublimation as far as what it could do for the common crafter and also the common business, adding it to their screen printing, adding it to their sign printing business, and that sort of thing. So here we are, sublimation's here to stay, and it's making big waves. Any other questions?
What was the question?
Do you see it? Do you see it?
How did you sublimate the suitcase is the question.
That is actually a cut and sew project. So it is fabric, the same fabric as a 4-way stretch fabric that you would use to make leggings or swimwear. And it is a specific pattern that's made just for you to sublimate the fabric, cut it out, and sew it into the shape of that luggage cover. So it Velcros underneath, and you can take it off and keep your luggage protected.
Other questions?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Okay, so the question is, they just have a smaller
16 by 20?
16 by 20. How did you do those large items? If she didn't ask that, I was asking that,
Yes.
actually.
Let's see. Do I have my buddy on here? Let me see if I can I step down for a minute and show him?
So basically, the question is, how do you do that all over look with a smaller press?
I think I show you my big press. But right after that, someone also used a very small press, a 16 by 20. That right there. Okay, so you see the comparison? That's my big press. And if I'm too close to the mic, I'm sorry. So the big press is a 30 by 40 press, right? I do the same thing with my 30 by 40 press that I do with the 16 by 20 press. And if I show you a little bit further here, so that's the buddy. That's somebody doing it 16 by 20, right? It's called the buddy. It is something I invented, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's a table surface that's Teflon. It's a Teflon top to it, and it rolls left to right so that you can use the center press to press the center of your shirt. Then you roll it to the left, Then you'll press that area, roll it to the right, you'll press that area, and then you turn it around and repeat to do the bottom of the shirt. So in 6 presses, you can press any shirt up to a 5X. Maybe even a 6X, I haven't tried a 6X yet, right? So I also have a Photoshop file that splits the image for you. So let's say you design this big old print, right? And you have a 13-inch printer. I developed a template that will break it down, whether you're printing a small, you'll split it up into 4 tiles. Small to large, you split up into 4 tiles. A 5X splits up into 7 tiles, but I've optimized how it splits up so you can take those 7 13 by 19 sheets and you can put them together, and I have a method that shows you how to put them together. And then you have one big sheet until you're doing the all over market so much and you're like, yeah, time for me to get one of those large format printers. And even then, we have a solution. If you're going into large format printing, we use the T7270s and 5270s. They're usually around $3,000 to $4,000. And for $800, you're putting the True Color Sublimation ink in there, and you have an all-over printing solution for less than $5,000. And then Epson has the 6370s, and that can take you straight into sublimation, but usually those are going to be somewhere around the $9,000 to $10,000 range for you to have the professional setup for that. So I tell people, I meet you where you're at. If you are right here with I have an 8.5-inch printer splitter. I didn't want to make it. I thought it was a waste of time, but I had so many people that had 8.5-inch sublimation printers that needed this solution. So then I developed a split template for that one. And that's when I started showing people how to use the roll media for sublimation. So instead of 13 by 19 sheets, use 13-inch roll media, and then you let the sheets be continuous 36 inches. Now you only have 2.5 little pieces of paper to put together. Or if you're doing an 8.5-inch printer, I implore you to use roll media. That's a lot of tiles to put together. And every little tile, you gotta imagine it's like a puzzle, right? You can get these 4 right, but then you start adding 6, 7, 8 tiles. You start to get like, okay, if it matches, it matches. If not, I'm gonna let it fly. So, so the idea is to make every process that you do, I like to call things automizers, because my goal for everything here forward is to automate and optimize, right? So if we're automating, that means in some way it's gonna do some work that we could do, in our sleep. That's my biggest thing, is make money while you sleep, right? And then the optimization is, how can I not touch this so many times? How can this be best efficient for my process? And so that's why we're coming up with solutions that basically just help you wherever you are in your process, whether you're learning Photoshop, applying cut and sew, applying all overs. I didn't realize how many people didn't know about all overs. And they just thought, oh, this is just a shirt that came printed like this. I'm like, no, this was a white shirt. Like when you see white and you can see it covered up, the options are endless. Like so many possibilities now. And you can start introducing that to your customers.
How accurate is it when you have to do multiple tile images printed? Do you have to do anything to sort of make that easier, or is it able to register pretty good?
It registers really well. It is a manual process when you have to physically put the tiles together, right? Because anyone ever done paste up sessions in newspaper, or you had to like take a banner or something and you wanted it to be bigger or wider than the print media was, so you had to basically trim one side and match it up, merge it to the other piece. We do that a lot in our business, and that's the same process. We call it tiling in journalism. It's the same process. So you'll be tiling it if you had smaller prints. Now, that is probably the hardest part, but actually pressing it multiple times, if you have a large print, pressing it multiple times is just as easy as having an approximate 2-inch overlap. It's approximate. And you'll know because the back of the paper will be heated in such a way that you could tell that the heat already touched there, right? So then you could just eyeball, and the way the buddy system works is so cool because it takes measurements out of things, right? If you print a 36 by 44, right, that usually is gonna come off of a large format, or you tiled it to be a 36 by 44, the paper that we use is from Uline. It's already cut 36 by 48. We just fold that paper in half, pinch it, take our print, fold it in half, pinch it on the ends, and now we have a center point for everything. So you're not wondering if your shirt's gonna look like it's leaning to the side, because you don't have to worry about whether the registration's on, right? You're just using a system. And I tell people that systems, we call it engineering, we call it systems engineering. That's one of my backgrounds. But systems engineering is, we use it all the time. Anytime we develop a system to do something more efficient or faster or less expensive, or just not to make so many mess ups because we just want to do it a certain way every time, that's what we're doing. It's just a system that is helping you organize how you're going to take these steps. It takes the fear out of even starting the process of doing all overs, right? And Photoshop and that sort of thing. And once the fear is gone, your confidence is up, man, you can conquer anything. That's the whole idea. Just break that icebreaker, you know, for the confidence level in anything that you think is so hard to do, and it's over from there. Then y'all will be making YouTube videos, and I'll be watching y'all.
How like if you're really starting with nothing, what's the least amount? Like what equipment can you get to just get started on a shoestring, if that's where you're at? Like,
Right. That's
so.
a
What
great
can you
question.
start with? Like
You can start with a budget of about, I would say, give yourself about $1,200 to $1,500. Your biggest investment is going to be a heat press. So if you have a heat press, you can probably get started for less than that, right? Because some of us have to start at like a $400 heat press that we get from somewhere, maybe even Craigslist or something. Your heat press is probably going to be your biggest investment, and if you can make that a quality purchase, I would suggest you make your heat press your quality purchase, because for sublimation, you really do want consistency in the heat. You want to press that if something happens to it, you know, you have a fuse that you can change out and go get a part, or you have a company that stands behind their product, but use what you have. That's what I tell people first. If you have a 16 by 20 press, I also have customers that do this with a 15 by 15 press. I also have a method of using, y'all know the easy press and those style of presses. I have my niece, she'll take a 10-pound weight and put on either side of that press, and it'll do the same thing. And you just have to basically make sure you don't have any peel and stick towels on the floor, you know, because they will no longer peel or stick. They will peel but not stick, put it that way. So that's a lesson learned the hard way. But it's like I said, I will meet people where they're at. So even if you have one of those presses, just have a press. Then what you need next is a sublimation printer. Some people may purchase like the Sawgrass sublimation printer. Some people may purchase the Epson. I think the smallest they do is a 24-inch printer. We actually have ink kits that are less than $40 for 127 milliliters of all 4 colors. And you can take a standard Epson printer, whether it's an 8.5. I encourage you to go get you a 13-inch printer. If you think you're going to be doing anything in the t-shirt realm, a 13-inch printer will be a great starting point. And usually you can find some for around $600 and under, right? Take $40 worth of ink, convert it to, they say convert it, but you're just putting different ink into it, to sublimation, and a pack of paper for about $40, and any polyester substrate. You can go grab a polyester shirt from Walmart just to test it out, see what it's about. But you know, of course, we have access to suppliers like, let's see, who of these has Alpha Broder? Oh yeah, Alpha Broder has the 21M shirts, the jerseys 21M. Those are a perfect shirt. I don't know if you've ever seen them before. They look and feel like cotton, but they're 100% polyester. So they're a spun polyester. That spun polyester is what gives you that cotton feel rather than that slick kind of athletic look to the fabric. But the slick athletic ones peel less. So that means they're gonna get less of those little balls on them when you wash them, right? You know what I'm talking about? Your sweatpants get the balls, your t-shirts get those little balls on them. When they're polyester, it's because it's spun. But if you go with the slicker shirts, you don't have that issue. Just like that bag there has been roughed around the airport, but it doesn't have those little balls on it. And it's because it's a slicker, smoother surface, and it's not a spun polyester fiber.
you can get them pretty low price for doing mugs too, right? Your mug press doesn't cost much, does it? If you want to sublimate mugs.
Oh
Coffee
yeah,
mugs.
absolutely. Some people only do that type of thing. They only do tumblers and mugs. If you only did tumblers and mugs, that's an excellent way to get into the market. Have a small, specific press that's just for tumblers and
I know
mugs.
some screen printers do that. They offer
absolutely.
mugs. It's easy. The printer doesn't cost
Right.
much, right? You can get the little one then, right?
Exactly. And then that way you have an 8.5-inch printer that works for that purpose. And this is what I tell you, the market will tell you what the market wants, right? So if you have people in your area that's like, oh, okay, well, you just have a sample of a shirt. Don't do it yet. If you don't want to do all overs quite yet, outsource it to someone who can print it for you and see if your local market or your online market wants that. You have mock-ups here, right? So your mock-ups can tell the story, and then your customers, once they get excited about your mock-ups, can tell you what artwork they want, can tell you what type of print process and what kind of substrates they want. Like I said, I was not interested in doing tumblers until the market told me, hey, we need to see some tumblers. And in that regard, I started making the atomizer that will take my t-shirt design and make it automatically be a tumbler design.
Other questions? Question? All right.
Oh,
Any last words?
That's
And then you're going to be here
Okay.
for a few minutes if people have questions.
Absolutely.
If they're shy or what have you,
Yeah,
right?
if
You're
y'all,
going to
if
hang out
y'all
for
are
a few
shy
minutes?
and y'all rather talk to me one-on-one, I'm all about that too. So I just wanted to let you all know a big part of what we do is just solving problems. So if it seems like we're all over the place, it's because we are, because our minds are all over the place and our problems are all over the place. So if you have a problem in your setup that looks like any of these things could be solutions for, or if there's no solution for that product, come talk to me, and then maybe we'll get our gears going and we'll figure out some way that will get you into this space, get you into being able to make this a part of your business and hopefully make you some money.
How about a hand for Shanon Wooden for sharing with us?
Thank you. I appreciate it, y'all.
All right.
And check us out. I don't. I'm just rolling around.
She doesn't
But
have a
I'm
stand.
on-
She's standing right
Yeah,
here.
I am the booth. That's what I tell people I'm sitting around. I am the booth. But I'm on YouTube as Innate Lab. I'm on TikTok as Innate Lab. I am on Instagram, Facebook, all of that as Innate Lab. So it won't be hard to find me. And I usually wear some colors like this, so it will not
You are
be
not
hard
hard
to find.
You are not hard to find.
What's that, babe? Woo! All right. Look at that. Yeah. Oh, look.
Oh, there we go.
Tell them one more time for the one time. But I brought you here. Okay.
All right.
Awesome. That's
All right.
great. No, we'll stick around and I get a
Fans.
chance to speak with you.
It's good to have fans.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Keep me going.
All right. I want to thank our sponsors, Alpha Broder, Los Angeles Apparel, Hirsch, Omniprint, Nasdar, and Lane 7, and Impressions Magazine. And I'm from the Ink Kitchen. And thank you again, Shanon.